Okay, so I have finally wrapped up Seed's story event in Zenless Zone Zero. That was the last piece of major Obol Squad content in the first half of the 2.2 patch, with the MSQ story taking main center stage earlier on. I actually left Seed's story to the end, just before her banner finished, because I didn't want to get too emotionally swept up in the moment if I ended up really loving her character by like trying to summon for her and acquire for her, especially because it would cost me money. TLDR, of course, I loved her story, and I definitely shed some tears at the end. I really liked it a lot, but I'm staying strong for Orphe, and I'll pick up Seed at a later date just so I can complete the faction. All that is to say, and lead up to, is I really did enjoy this patch's story content. There is definitely some issues though, but overall I was just finally happy to see the full Obol Squad together as like just a main focus, something I've wanted from day one of this game. But I have a major issue with something very specific to me, and again, this won't matter to most people, but it matters to me, so let me explain. I've spoken about my love for Soldier 11 dating back to the start of this channel, actually, when the very couple of first videos I made were of like her and Ellen clearing like random endgame content with my awful skills and builds, and I always had a thing for this squad, and I was always kind of left wanting more as I played Zenless Zone Zero. When we finally met Trigger, which I deeply fell in love with her character, I think she's just one of the game's best sweethearts and waifus hands down. When we finally, recently, got to see Seed and Orphe's proper reveals, at first, like a lot of others, I was kind of hesitant, but I do love them for who they are, and gripes aside, I enjoy the full squad now more than ever that they are completely, like fully out in the open. I say all this to lead up to the fact that despite Obol Squad being my favorite faction, despite simping for all of them since like pretty much day one, despite waiting so patiently for all of them to just be together and released in playable forms, except Isolde, rest in peace, you beautiful woman. Despite having a full patch dedicated to them in the main story, despite heavily investing into them summon-wise and vertically, like I just went and got Trigger's M1 just to make sure that she was future-proof and better for Ambi's team. Despite all of this, I'm left a little bitter, and I'm a bit upset. And like, guys, I'll be honest, I'm very goddamn confused. Why do you ask? Well, if the title or thumbnail wasn't clear enough for ya, what the hell is going on with Soldier 11? Proxies, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zeno, and today just a short ranty discussion video on my issues I am having with one of my favorite agents in the game, which is Soldier 11 Harin. Remember, if you like what I do here though, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord to chat to the community there, or just become a member of the channel to support me directly like all the beautiful people have. And with that being said, let's just jump into it, shall we? So, this was the perfect, and maybe only, full patch where Soldier 11 fans would finally get some justice in their spicy noodle loving agent. Soldier 11 has been around since 1.0 of the game. She is a standard S-rank agent. I have been extremely blessed, if you call losing 50/50s blessed, for being able to have her actually at M4 now. I even went as far as to summon Evelyn's Wenjin Heartstring Nocturne just for her. I summoned Lighter just for her and for Ellen, and I do actually really like Lighter as well. I also invested in Lighter's rerun and got his Wenjin to just further boost teams with her in it specifically. I've tried my best to get decent builds on her. I've maxed out all of her skill trees to make sure I can push her damage further. I run her through all the endgame content that allows me to, which is admittedly getting harder and harder as HP inflation rises. I do what I can to make her decent to play and stay as fun as possible for as long as possible. I'm not the best player of her. I don't know all the super secret techs. I don't even have the most ideal build. I'm rocking a triple two-piece for God's sake, just because of the stats I have at the moment. But I do love this character. Very much so, and for a very long time so far. Which made it more painful in the beginning when we had to wait till version 1.6, roughly 8+ months into the game, just to be able to unlock her final trust rank and obtain her dynamic wallpaper, where Silver Soldier Ambi released. This was something from the start of the game that really made the fans wonder, who is Soldier 11? Who are the Defense Force and Obol Squad? Why was she the only unit in the entire game for 8+ months with no wallpaper and level 4 trust events to complete? What was her mystery or her backstory that really intrigued us for like nearly the entire year? We had ideas, we speculated, we rumored, and we waited for that Hoyo cook to see if they paid off and gave her justice. Us Harin fans have waited very patiently for a very long time to see her get some love from the devs in any major way, like some of the other units. I understand what people might say in like devil's advocate, okay? She's a standard S rank. She isn't a limited agent. She's not gonna make Hoyo money. She's just there to fill the gap of a standard S rank DPS unit when the game released, and for a long time, one of the only fire DPS if you needed one to beat content. I get that totally, but I'm not asking for the world here. I understand the limitations around her release and the nature of it, but I think we still deserve just like a little bit better. Let's take a look at some of the other S rank standard agents. Grace, Lycon, Nekomata, Colada all get major pieces of content in main story arcs, side content, reoccurring events. Lycon is extremely well loved in the community, and I freaking love him personally. Hugo and him made that patch incredibly good with their dynamic. Grace and Colada were a great pair from the early story, with Grace being a fan favorite that routinely pops back up. She just did in the summer event as well that just passed. The only agent equally left aside actually is Rena from Victorian Housekeeping, which is even less screen time than Soldier 11 actually, which is really weird now that I think about it and write this script. Like, wait, who the hell's Rena? I feel like I know nothing about Rena except the fact that she's like really bad at cooking. You know what, never mind. Point still stands ultimately. You know what I'm trying to get at here. Outside of her, all the other standard S ranks have had their time in the sun or continue to get more as the game progresses. Soldier 11 only has a few lines at the beginning of the 2.2 story as you head into the Hollow. And then that's it. You can play her at the beginning as well, but that's pretty much it. She's sometimes in the background during the scenes where you can walk around. She's sometimes standing there next to Obol Squad in the vicinity, in back of cutscenes and dialogue, but she's got nothing to do with the entire story, which revolves around her faction. And I get that the story kind of focuses more on Captain Magus and Orphe, especially as the story unfolds into its conclusion with what happens to Isolde and Magus's past. I get that. And Seed gets her own story event that digs into her lore more after the fact of the main story's conclusion. Soldier 11 kind of gets some lines there towards the end. You find out it was actually her that was using Seed Senior's phone to DMC just to cheer her up and make her feel better, even though Soldier 11 wasn't in Obol Squad when Seed Senior was around and she doesn't really know him. But so she kind of has a small part, but they even make fun of her because she's literally just there for the ride at the end towards the end of Seed's story. And she doesn't really know what's going on. She's just happy to be fighting alongside her squad again. Considering Soldier 11 is an Ambi clone, and you would think that once you learn that Magus and Orphe are in the same style of like situation created by the Defense Force as well, maybe Soldier 11 and Orphe could have had a more deep one-on-one, as she has somebody who would directly understand her position of like not feeling enough or... But no, there's like just nothing of the sorts, actually, like not one conversation. God, even in Seed's combat event, where the full team is training to see who is the most compatible with each other, Soldier 11 typically has to go off somewhere else so Ambi can help with their training, as they don't want to conflict due to Soldier 11 and Ambi's history. I get narratively, yes, that part actually does kind of make sense, but I don't care. It's still another kick in the teeth for us Harin fans who get sidelined again in the second piece of content, in the same patch with her own squad. It just feels bad, man. I just don't understand what Hoyo is doing with this character. We have Soldier 11's backstory when we got Silver Soldier Ambies. We got that amazing cutscene where they fight together, which is like still one of my favorites to this day. But then Soldier 11 has memory issues and forgot again what happened, and it was very bittersweet personally, and it kind of still hurts even now. I guess I'm just baffled. Like I said, I don't expect standard S ranks that make Hoyo no money to get like major resources poured into him, or even on a consistent basis. But This seems egregiously purposeful and like almost targeted at this point. Like, I cannot for the life of me figure out if they're doing like a 2-year cook on Soldier 11, and maybe we'll get a limited version of her to summon and play one day where she undergoes the same types of training mentioned recently. Maybe she'll finally actually fit into her own faction with aftershock attacks, and maybe she'll be better used with Orphe, Trigger, and Seed. Maybe it'll all just pan out. Or what it seems like at the moment, sadly, if it's woeful ignorance and they don't care. And this was it. This was all the content we're going to get for her, now that we're probably going to move on from Obol Squad for the rest of the year once 2.2 wraps up. We might not, but there's a pretty good chance we may. Either way, I don't see the vision. And even if they have future plans for the character in ways that we don't know about yet, they should still have given us some crumbs in this patch, which contains her full Obol Squad for the first time, where the focus is quite literally on them. I'm really frustrated at this. I love this game and the squad, but I really wanted more, even if it was just a little bit, just to help satiate the fans of hers or her teammates. She feels so utterly left out consistently for no reason at every given chance, and even comparing to some of the A rank agents or the other standard S ranks, excluding Rena, she's being served like a super cold dish of non-spicy noodles, and it's really bugging me as a massive fan of Harin. That being said, again, who knows, maybe second half patch there'll be something with Soldier 11 and this video will age horrendously. I would love that, but I just don't see that happening. Anyway, just a short rant video today on one of my favorite agents and just like her mishandling, I guess. I need to go back and actually properly farm a 4-piece set for her, and when Orphe comes out, I'll be definitely trying some teams with her and Lighter, or of her and Trigger, just to see what I can cook up, even if it's just not optimal, because I'm going to continue to have as much fun as I can with Soldier 11 until I physically cannot. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this Soldier 11 Harin situation that us mega fans find ourselves in. Is there other agents that you feel is being under-delivered in the story and the content? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear more about them. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me ramble. Hope you guys are having a fan-freaking-tastic rest of the day. And as always, my name is Zeno, and you guys take care now.